Excellent. So Hartley, I think I mentioned this to you before, but we're going to get started. We're so excited to have you on here speaking with us today. And we read your story on your blog. When you reached out to us, we couldn't be more excited to set this up and dive a little bit deeper. So if you wouldn't mind, can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and where you went to school, what you majored in, and what type of stuff you're interested in?
Yeah, so like I said, I grew up in Cleveland. I went to college up in Maine, a liberal arts school called Bowdoin. I majored in economics and minored in government. And really my senior year started to realize that I had a passion for doing some programming and getting involved with computers and tech stuff and things like that. And then I had the summer before my senior year, I had an awesome internship at HubSpot in Boston, which is how I sort of started to get roots here. I've since moved on, and I'm currently a web developer for a startup called Burstworks, also in the Boston-Cambridge area. Yeah, I've been basically working at startups in the area for the past 3 or 4 years.
Fantastic. And where would you say it all started in terms of getting your foot in the door at this first tech startup?
This is 2010, 2011, and you're reading articles in the New York Times about how something like 20% of recent college graduates are unemployed, and it's harder than ever for kids to find jobs, their first job. So I really didn't want to have to go through the sort of standard process of getting tucked into a stack of resumes and potentially never hearing back. So I kind of just sort of sat on it. It was the holidays. So I waited a couple days, hadn't heard back from some of the places, and that sort of dawned on me that I was like, this isn't how I'm going to land a job. Like if I follow the standard advice, I'm going to get the standard results, which is you're probably going to end up doing an unpaid internship and getting coffee for people, and it's going to suck. And I really didn't want to do that.
You and me both.
So that I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something a little unconventional. So I looked up the people that I was applying to, and HubSpot was sort of at the top of my list. They had just won a Best Place to Work award in Boston, and I'd been actually following their blog before I even applied there for a while. They wrote a lot about inbound marketing topics and like how to do SEO and social media and stuff for lead generation. So I was already I knew about them. I thought it would be a great company to go work for as a first job. I'd learn a lot working with smart people. And so I sort of set my sights on getting some sort of response from someone at HubSpot. And that was really, I kind of locked onto that. And I said, I'll keep the other people in a holding pattern, keep the conversations going, but I really want to see if I can crack into HubSpot. I know that there's going to be a ton of other people applying there. I know they've got a lot of buzz with all these Best Place to Work awards and things like that. So I really have to do something to sort of leverage the potential that I had, which was I'm a Bowdoin student, and I know that there are Bowdoin people that are there. And also do something a little bit crazy just to get their attention. And so I did some poking around, and I found out that actually he was the VP of marketing at the time. Now he's the CMO. Was a Bowdoin grad, class of '97. And so I was like, great. I just need to get him to read my email. And as having met him now, I know that he gets thousands, no exaggeration, thousands of emails a day from people that want his time. So I realized email probably wasn't going to work. And Twitter was kind of new-ish. It had been around for a few years, but it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. But as a CMO of an internet marketing company, he was pretty big on Twitter. He had about 20,000 followers, tweeted a lot. And I had a Twitter account that I used to, tweet out rap lyrics when I was drunk and stuff like that. Like probably not the most professional channel to use, but I went through and I cleaned some of it up a little bit, and I said, okay, I'm going to see if I can connect on this through this channel where hopefully there's less noise and I can get more directly to him. And so I had to basically fit a cover letter into 140 characters, which I spent about 45 minutes agonizing over, and I was like, should I use abbreviations? Does it look unprofessional? Well, I don't know if I can fit all this stuff. Finally, I settled on 140 characters that made a good enough impression. And I sent it from my phone. I don't know why. I drafted it on my computer, but I decided to text it to Twitter, and it said sent via text at the bottom to make it look like it was some casual, like I was just at the mall, like looking for jobs in between stores or so. I don't know. But he ended up getting back to me really quickly. I think it was like maybe an hour or two later he responded, and he was like, yeah, let me put you in touch with our director of marketing, and I scheduled some follow-up conversations via Skype over the next few days, and it just happened really quickly. And then I think I got the offer on Thursday, and they wanted me to start on Tuesday, so I had to pack up all my stuff and move out to Boston in a few days. But basically, from the moment I sent that tweet to when I started the job was probably about like a week and a half. So it definitely got the ball, rolling, and it definitely, made a good impression on people and sort of showed that I was willing to take risks on things and try new mediums and stuff like that. And it also, I mean, just to cut through some of the noise, if you do what everyone else is doing and email in your stuff with a nice cover letter that's 3 paragraphs, and there's 1,000 other people that are doing that, you don't stand out in any way, and you're probably just going to get passed over. So doing something a little different, sort of cut through the noise, and show that I was willing to be a little bit more risk-taking, I think. So.
And what did your friends say when you told them that all it took was a tweet to get hired, as they were grinding away on the finance?
Everyone kind of rolled their eyes. I would say that they didn't believe it, but also I was the kind of kid in college that would do something like that and get a job via Twitter. So I don't think anyone was really too surprised. But it was definitely, I was able to do the internship and get a job offer at the end of it. So senior year was kind of a layup for me because I didn't have to, go through that whole process that a lot of my peers went through of going to all these info sessions and doing all that stuff. And I know that I got really, really lucky. So it's not necessarily like do exactly what I did and it'll work for you, but I think the sort of takeaway that I'd want to definitely instill is that, like, while a Twitter cover letter worked in December of 2010, it might not be as effective now, but it's sort of more at the higher level. What was that thought process? Okay, if I do the standard thing, I'm going to get standard results. And certainly the exceptional thing at the time was to be 20 years old, have no experience, and get a job at a great company. If you want exceptional results like that, you have to really do something exceptional by definition to get there. And so that was something that I don't think anyone else was really doing at the time. I'm not really sure what the 2014 equivalent of that would be. I know that I've heard stories about people buying like targeted Facebook and LinkedIn ads at executives of companies because you can target them really specific, being like, it works at this company and has this job title, and you can narrow it down. And you end up paying like $5 or $10 to get a message in front of the CEO or CTO or CMO of a company. So I've heard that always at least makes for an interesting story. The person's going to want to click on it and be like, you know what, this is interesting. Let me just see if this guy is worth my time. As opposed to the million other people that are writing in being like, hey, I'd love to talk. I'd love to buy you coffee. It's like everyone wants to buy a busy person coffee. Like you're not offering them anything new by offering to buy them coffee. So doing something that really sort of piques someone's interest and kind of makes them raise an eyebrow and go, huh, what is this guy? Let me check this person out. Let me see what they have to say, and really kind of get in front of them in some sort of unconventional, interesting way, and sort of surprising maybe.
Right. At the very least, they have a good story to tell from connecting with you.
Exactly, and there was a guy who at HubSpot a few months after I started, he bought the domain name hiremehubspot.com, and he put on like a webinar about why HubSpot should hire him. It was like a 30-minute thing, and they actually flew him out from, I think it was somewhere in the South, and everyone was like, oh, this is the guy, like he's the guy who bought hiremehubspot.com, and they ended up hiring him, and he's still here. But it definitely makes for a really interesting story, and everyone at the company kind of knew who he was. I mean, the company was already 200-300 people at the time, but the word spread quickly. When you have a story like that, everyone kind of, it's interesting and it's exceptional. It's remarkable. It's something people want to talk about and find interesting. And at the very least, that whoever you're targeting that at is going to want to follow up just to at least have a story about it.
Right.
And so that's another good way to just get some time on their calendar, get a Skype interview or phone interview or something, is just do something that other people would be like, hey, I heard about that thing. Did you follow up with that person? And you want them to be like, oh yeah, I did. And either they liked you or they didn't like you, but at least you got in front of them and you got to talk to them and sort of sell yourself. So.
Last question for you, Hartley. So young Johnny out there, 2021, looking to break into the job market, here's your story, reads your blog and is like, wow, this guy is incredible. I want to learn something from him, want to even connect with you for a project you're working on. What does it take to get in contact with you, and what would it take to stand out in your eyes?
So I don't get 1,000 emails a day, so it doesn't take much to get in front of me. I respond to pretty much everything on Twitter. I have a contact form on my blog. But one thing that usually makes an email stand out is if there's personalization. Sometimes I'll get people who contact me and they just say like, hey, I'm looking for help with this. Let's get coffee. And it's like they probably spam that message out to like 80 people. And it doesn't really inspire me to want to follow up that aggressively. And who knows, maybe they did sit down and write it, and they wrote something that just came off as bland, even though they wanted to make it personalized. But I'm fairly public. I have a blog, I have a Twitter account. If you Google me, it's pretty easy to find stuff about me. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes to find a relevant blog post that you can link to, or say, oh, I saw this particular project that you worked on that is particularly interesting to me, or just something that makes it feel like you actually like did a little bit of work to find out who I am. Then makes me that much more likely to be like, okay, now I want to find out who you are and sort of reciprocate, and then we can meet up.